Welcome, YouTuber. There's this Demon91 back from my vacation in Washington, D.C. Now, I know I said I was going to do a review on Spongebob Squarepants and a little hint, but I've decided to change gears. There's something more along my alley. Now, we've all grown up hearing those cautionary stories. These our parents tell us. Thus, in order to get us to behave or to go to bed when we're supposed to. Stuff like make a face, it'll stay that way. Beware of the boogeyman who lives under your bed when you don't go to sleep. Never accept candy from strangers or act your age, that kind of thing. Well, the reason why I say this is because this video is going to talk about a certain lost treasure. I will be going over a series entitled Grisly Tales for Gruesome Kids. Now, this should ring a bell as I've said this as during my Halloween special those in October last year. Now, what can I say about this that I haven't already said? Well, start out with Grisly Tales for Gruesome Kids. It is a series of books by Jamie Ricks and a TV series produced for ITV. The original TV series was based on the award-winning collections of cautionary tales published by Ricks, including Grisly Tales for Gruesome Kids, Ghostly Tales for Ghastly Kids, Fearsome Tales for Fiendish Kids, as well as more Grisly Tales. The series is narrated by Nigel Planner and animated by Sarah and Simon Bohr of Wolves, Witches, and Giants fame. Now, for those of us who have no idea who Nigel Planner is, well, let's just say for my British viewers who might not remember or don't care to remember, Planner used to be one of the young ones in Britain's BBC show, The Young Ones, which also starred Adrian Edmondson and Rick Mail, who would later star in that comedy series Bottom as Richie and Eddie. Now, Nigel Planner, I can honestly say, does a pretty good job at narrating each story. It took me a while to realize who he was until I heard the one character he was narrating that and speak like one of his old personas. Now, let me explain this. Each episode is roughly about 10 to 11 minutes long. You can find each episode on YouTube, while it's still there, of course. There's including a half-hour long movie read special entitled The Crystal Eye. I'll get to that one in a moment. But onto the series itself. Open how it begins. Every episode begins the same way. A stop motion in presumably Great Britain and during the time of rain. A young boy is walking down on a cobblestone on the street towards the movie theater and found the silver squeam, or something like that, where there's one guy working the whole thing. And as the ticket clerk or ticket checker, the concession and handler, and even the operator of the movie projector. This is our title. Right? This is the character, or simply entitled the narrator, voiced by Nigel Planner, or is a creepy old man, not as the way most of us are thinking right now, but kind of like the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt, if you can believe it, joined by a little spider psychic named Spindleshakes. The series went on for 5 seasons. And from what I can recall, the first 3 seasons, as the narrator would give a brief description of what the title of the story would be about, with a little bit of horror comedy. Now, as for the stories themselves, they are hand-drawn animated, and like with some cartoons, seem to recycle animation. In other words, many of the characters are the same person, just different skin tones and personalities. As for the stories themselves, they can be very, very interesting to hear. Oh wait, no, I take that back. There were 6 seasons. Primarily, this is a British exclusive show because here in the U.S. we don't get it, of course. You know, what is this thing? Oh, okay. The narrator does have a name, and Uncle Grizzly. And as the story in episode begin, and you are welcome to Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids, the series of cautionary tales for lovers of squeam. Now, the series itself, from what I've watched, is entertaining. And it's kind of good for a laugh in some ways, with some stories being more innocent than they should be. In other words, this is like a kid-friendly version of the Brothers Grimm, and an almost old wives' tales. Now, season 1 had some episodes in it, which I find kind of odd, and how it came to be. To explain, there's an episode in season 1 called "The Barber of Sybil," not to be confused with the operette aria "Barber of Seville." In this story, 2 school children are portrayed as being excessively rude to teachers, principal, basically any adult. That is, until this barber comes along. With a jar of what seems to be smugs or leeches. Later on in the story, it turns out that the barber doesn't exactly cut hair or shave stubble. Nope. Instead, as he puts it, he cuts out the bad part parts of children's tongues, which makes them so rude with a smart alecky. When a barber that doesn't exactly do his job as he's supposed to has a jar of tickling things. You know, if they would have made a little deeper into the story, it could have been something actually taught. Let's see another story. Right, boy, yeah. For anyone who's trying to get out of school by faking illness, the tale of Dr. Moribundus can be considered a warning. And as a young girl who feigned illness is about 70% of the year until it was time to go on vacation, and where she miraculously healed almost instantly. That is until one day she took it too far, or when a real doctor examined her and is suspicious, he recommended prescription moribundus. Now, I have looked up the word itself, and it means, or it's death related. Seeing as more is morty, and is Italian for death, or Italian Latin, sorry. And basically get into the young girl a little surgical procedure which makes sure realize the error of her ways. Now, for season 2, there's a story I find incredibly interesting. And even Uncle Grizzly brings this up. Children who then can be seen or heard, but not both at the same time. The tale of Jack in the Box is a cautionary tale to those who never stop talking or continue to make noise when we don't need to. So it's mostly about this kid named Jack who's a complete blabbermouth. In other words, he never knows when to stop talking. And that is until a ventriloquist invites him to his shop only to turn Jack into a dummy himself. The twist at the end is actually most rewarding. Now, we've all heard that saying, an elephant never forgets, but the story of the same title was both peculiar, promoting, and definitely gets its point across. Be careful what you wish for. As two spoiled rich kid is beg their father for an elephant and during a safari. A weeks later after they return home, their father comes back with an elephant's foot, which means he basically killed an elephant for its foot. I don't quite understand this. People will kill whole animals for certain parts of their body. That I can understand. Like rhinos for their horn, elephants for their ivory tusks. I alligators and snakes for their skin can be used as luggage, and sharks have their dorsal fins cut off for shark fin soup. So, but why would you cut the foot, kill an elephant just for its foot? Well, as it turns out, whenever they pull an umbrella out of the elephant's foot, trying to do an umbrella stand, and they're able to make a wish. And they start wishing for little random things like toys, gadgets, and that sort of thing, until they realize what they want is the elephant itself. And when they do, they realize their wish was too low, too late. Now, even though the story has a somewhat good ending, and it's the elephant, and there is something I find kind of odd. This is actually the one animal myth that's true. Elephants do have a remarkably well-known memory. And scientists have actually studied elephants to remember their dead and remember exactly where they had been. Season 3. The Pie Man. The Pie Man is one of the boogeyman and characters who parents try and teach their kids not to do something and too much, otherwise it can result in some bad demises. The warning in the Pie Man is children who suck their thumbs will soon encounter the Pie Man, who will lop off their thumbs and stick them in pies to keep their his flaky and intact. And even I have to agree with some of the characters in the story. Why exactly does he use the other parts of the children whose thumbs is cut off? That said, and crocodile tears is something and I find most peculiar. As most kids cry, eat, or scream in order to get what they want. This should not be the case at all. Take it from me from personal experience. And there is something about kids who scream in the top of their lungs and cry for absolutely no reason that just makes one want to either sock the banshee the child or basically berate the parents. And I will say this though, the night I got back from DC, my family and I went to dinner. Of course, we sat next to this family quick. And a kid whose scream was about as loud as a plane taking off. Needless to say, my ears had popped the entire flight at home, and this kid's scream did not stop. While I'm trying to ignore it, I kept on hearing this little weird voice in my head saying, "This kid did not stop screaming. I am going to turn around and sock it in the head." And everyone around me will apply for what I've done. And I wish somebody would tell that family to keep their kid in a quiet or leave immediately. Anyway, Crocodile Tears is about this family who cries for random reasons. The mother cries out of fear, the father cries out of pride, and the daughter just cries to get whatever she wants. That is until a tear duct, I don't know, oh, I can't really understand it. It warns her that there's an old crocodile named Saki Saki, and whose tears have been stolen by children years ago. Oh, during the time when tears were about valuable as diamonds. And if she continued to cry, as the duck would put it, it would all end in tears, literally. Now, I think the plot twist at the end, also because it ties into something else. And I like warnings like this. It's because obviously the person who's guilty of the crime does not listen and or follow through. Uh, oh wait, I take that back. There were 8 seasons. There were 6 original of seasons, but seasons 7 and 8 are completely different. Right? Because they take place in a different setting. Not only that, but the animation is completely different. Whereas seasons 1 through 6, as the whole thing takes place, results in a movie theater, or like seasons 7 and 8. However, they're a lot different, very different. Uncle Grizzly is now the owner of this jail, like hotel, like prison. He keeps a book of every child who's in prison in this facility. The animation and for the storytelling, however, is different too. So, and I've seen a couple of them. One where this boy kept on messing with his sister with worms. One where a girl had her blood replaced numerous times. And one where a long-haired boy got turned into a statue by the hair fairies. And one about a girl who, of course, like in Jack in the Box, never stopped talking. No, I take that back. Never stopped up for a pause as one talking. Now, it's still narrated by Nigel Planet. It's just a lot weirder, in a way. Because if you see in seasons 1 through 6, you become uncomfortable with seeing Uncle Grizzly is a the movie theater owner, narrator. Season 7 and 8, however, you don't really expect to know what he looks like. Well, that's it for this review of Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids. But I'm not going to end it here right now because there is something I am planning to do as part of this. There is something I want and to talk about for a while, ever since I first heard about from Jaime to those first Halloween list. Let's see here. During his top 11 and scares of childhood in video, he said something about the works of Edward Gorey, particularly the poem The Ghastly Crumb Tinies. I found on this by accident and afterwards, and it's creepy, it's disturbing, and it's actually a lot of fun. Because there are now two different things on YouTube that are kind of three things, and they're kind of like it. College Humor has done a little parody of it. And things that can kill you from A to Z. Let's see, there's a Game Over Tinies, which is like the Ghastly Crumb Tinies, but ties into video games like Pac-Man, Kirby, Mario, Legend of Zelda, Frogger, that kind of stuff. And of course, the band Creature features a gory demise. So now, for your listening pleasure, I have the original of Ghastly Crumb Tinies, which I will now attempt to read. A is for Amy, who fell down the stairs. B is for Basil, assaulted by bears. C is for Clara, who wasted away. D is for Desmond, thrown out of the sleigh. E is for Ernest, who choked on a peach. F is for Fanny, who sucked dry the thin leech. G is for George, who smothered on the barrel log. H is for Hector, done in by a thug. I is for Ida, who drowned in the lake. J is for James, who took life by mistake. For those of us who don't know, lye is a type of caustic acid. K is for Kate, struck with an axe. L is for Leo, who swallows and taps. M is for Mon, swept out to sea. N is for Neville, died of ennui. In other words, died of boredom. O is for Olive, run through by an awl, which is a leather based tool, which is used to punch holes in belts, and that kind of thing. P is for Prue, traveled flat in a brawl. Q is for Quentin, second on Meyer. R is for Rhoda, consumed by fire. S is for Susan, who perished of bits. T is for Titus, who fell into bits, mostly due to a bomb. U is for Una, who slipped down a drain. V is for Victor, squashed down by a train. W is for Winnie, embedded in ice. X is for Xerxes, devoured by mice. Y is for York, whose head was knocked in. Z is for Zella, who drank too much gin. Yes, this is supposed to be an alphabet thing that's more closely tied in with death. And now, if I can find it, in it, there is the one little thing I wanted to do. It was either the gory demise thing, or it was something along the line of the game over, very tiny. Just give me a minute to find it, and I will be right with you.
Peggy 12.
And one, sounds ready.
A is for air, stab right through the tummy. B is for Bowser, whose bridge work was crummy. C is for Grono, who wants that is double. D is for Johnson, had you the trouble. E is for Echo, and he was to Bishops. N is for Frogger, who got to and Bishops. G is for Ganon, who gained too much weight. H is for Heavy, whose sandwich was baked. Game over, everyone's game ends eventually. Game over, let's count the ways from A to Z. I is for Iceman, whose best friend was hot. J is for Jim, the early bird caught. K is for Kirby, popped like a balloon. L is for Link, the was crashed by the moon. M is for Mario, for transmission. N is for Navi, why wouldn't please? O is for Old Man, who needed that sword. B is for Pac-Man, who Blinky adored. Game over, everyone's game ends eventually. Game over, let's count the ways from A to Z. Q is for Cupid, who fell down the stairs. R is for Rayman, since nobody cares. S is for Sonic, who needed some air. T is for Tails, who also was there. U is for Ultros, done in like cream. V is for Gordo, who shave was too big. W is for Wario, with too many wells. X is for X, was open my bear. Y is for Yoshi, who had a bad friend. Z is for Zelda, who wished for the end. Video games have their own ABCs. Game over. Next time, won't you sing with me?
Yeah, I know what you're all thinking. I have a sick sense of humor. But there are millions out there like me. Now, about the next video, well, it's going to be, something different. I talked about monsters. I talked about, movie, TV shows that are somewhat skewed. But now, onto the natural world. There are animals out there that many would consider scary. And so I devised this little challenge for my viewers and subscribers. What animals do you find scary? Great. I will be doing a list of the top 10 and or top 20, depending on what you get. It the scariest animals. Almost, and they have to be like legit reasons. Like, well, I don't know. The reason why people fear sharks is because of Jaws. Isn't that, well, sharks were known to kill people. Especially animals that are known to kill humans, I can agree with. However, animals that are scary just for the sake of being in horror films, I might not add in. Or just animals that seem scary in some, mostly because of what they do and how they act. And case in point, the eye with its weird appearance. Or even some of the deep sea fish that scientists have recently discovered. I will end it here for now, but I will bring my next video to you all in the future. So until then, remember, if you have an animal that you consider scary, by all means, let me know. Oh, and I'll add it to the list. If there's any video suggestions you want me to do, by all means, and contact me on Facebook. Or let me know in the comment section below. This is Dino91. And good night.